So, due to defective DNA synthesis, this nuclear maturation lags behind cytoplasmic maturation. So, cytoplasmic maturation occurs normally, but this nuclear maturation it lags behind. So, the cells, all all the body cells, they are affected, and they acquire this microcytosis, the size, the microcytic size. So, anemia occurs due to ineffective erythropoiesis. So, in bone marrow, when they acquire this microcytosis and this abnormal DNA, destroyed in the bone marrow itself due to defective DNA synthesis. There occurs early apoptosis of these precursor cells. So they die in the bone marrow. So they're not getting maturation properly, and that's why they're not getting out of the bone marrow. That is, in periphery, we get pancytopenia. So, what are the causes of megaloblastic anemia? Most commonly is deficiency. Vitamin D and folic. It could be due to impaired absorption. Okay, impaired absorption due to there could be intrinsic factor deficiency, or there is pernicious anemia, which is autoimmune type. The patient may undergo gastrectomy. Uh, there could be some malabsorption states like celiac, Whipple's disease, and diffuse intestinal disease. There could be intestinal inflammations like ileitis, then parasitic infections like fish tapeworm infestation. Causes of folic acid deficiency are decreased intake, that could be due to uh, inadequate diet, alcoholism, infancy, also in pregnancy, because in pregnancy there is more, the demand is more. Okay. And here also there can be due to impaired absorption, same malabsorption states, intestinal disease, also drugs like anticonvulsants, oral contraceptives, also methotrexate, some anti-cancerous drugs that act as folate inhibitors. It could be due to increased loss in hemodialysis, increased increased requirement, that is pregnancy, infancy, disseminated cancer, and impaired utilization, that is drugs like methotrexate. They are the folic acid antagonist. Unresponsive to vitamin B12 or folic acid therapy, that is metabolic inhibitors of DNA synthesis. These are the same drugs. When the patient is on methotrexate, so there could be some uh, non-megaloblastic causes of macrocytic anemia. Okay. Like liver disease, microcytosis occurs secondary due to increased lipid to cholesterol deposition on RBCs. In this causes, there will be no deficiency of folate or vitamin B12. So, alcoholism, direct, which is the direct toxic effect on erythroid precursors, which can be without vitamin B12 or folic acid deficiency also. Chronic obstructive lung disease, when there occurs CO2 retention, then the cell acquire excess of water and this acquire this macrocytic shape. Hemolytic anemia, when there is increased reticulocytosis, which are the early RBCs. Then post hemorrhagic anemia, also there is increased reticulocytosis. The reticulocytosis are the earlier form of RBCs. they have this macrocytic type. Okay. So, so this is case one in which a 15-year male patient with progressive history of progressive anemia with glossitis and peripheral neuropathy. On examination, there is pallor, hyperpigmentation of knuckles also noted. On CBC, hemoglobin is 9, that is less. PLC is also less than 4,000, that is also leukopenia. Platelets are 80,000, less than 1.5 lakhs, that is also decreased. MCV, that is RBC, RBC size is more, 110. So MCV is increased, MCH is also increased, RTW is also increased. So on this CBC finding, we can see the patient has pancytopenia. Okay. On the peripheral smear, we can see this is a macroovalocyte and this is also macroovalocytes. Okay. So these macrocytes or macroovalocytes, they lack this central pallor like this, like the normal RBCs, they lack this central pallor. Also, you can see hypersegmented neutrophils because megaloblastic anemia affects all the cells, these granulocytes, erythrocytes, megakaryocytes also. So here we can see this is the normal range, but the size of this one is the size. This is increased. Variation in size. The size is increased and number is also decreased. So also we can find this basophilic stippling, scapuring, Howell-Jolly bodies. All these are features of ineffective erythropoiesis. Okay, so Howell-Jolly bodies are they are the retained nuclear material. Scapuring is the retained mitotic spindles, and this basophilic stippling is the retained. Basophilic stipplings are they're the retained. They're the retained. Hello, they're the retained RNAs, and this megaloblast they have seed-like chromatin. This megaloblast that is the due to delay in nuclear maturation, they acquired this seed-like chromatin. On bone marrow examination, we can find that bone marrow is markedly hypercellular. It is hypercellular because on peripherals on because there is anemia, and due to anemia there is increased production of erythropoietin. Okay, so erythropoietin acts on precursors to increase their production, but these precursors due to megaloblastic anemia they acquire this defective DNA synthesis, they acquire this megaloblastic shape, so they die in the bone marrow. The bone marrow is hypercellular, but on peripheral smear we see pancytopenia. Another scenario is that 26-year-old female with period of gestation 31 weeks with worsening fatigue and shortness of breath on exertion 1 month. Complain of occasional gum bleeding and easy bruising. There is history of viral and gastroenteritis at 11 weeks. So there is history of viral gastroenteritis at 11 weeks of period of gestation, which was resolved within few days. History of reduced appetite is also present. There is no history of fever or night sweat or itching, no history of alcohol consumption or dietary restriction. There is no medical or family history of similar disease. All her previous pregnancy were uneventful, and on examination, she had pallor, few petechial rashes on buccal mucosa. Blood pressure was normal. There was no lymphadenopathy or organomegaly. All the remainder clinical examination were unremarkable. Ultrasound confirmed normal fetal movement. So based on this history, we can say that it is anemia, but right now we don't see any cause. We can conclude that this gum bleeding could be due to decrease in platelet, and this shortness of breath on exertion, this fatigue, this could be due to decrease in, this could be due to anemia. So on CBC revealed a macrocytosis with a severe pancytopenia. So her hemoglobin was 7.2, MCV of 104, platelet was 15,000, neutrophils 0.5 into 10 to the power 9 per liter. Her last recorded hematological profile, that is 5 months ago, was within normal limit, and reticulocyte count is also low. So in megaloblastic anemia, we see this finding, low reticulocyte count. Okay. Her LFT and KFT with coagulation screen were normal. On peripheral smear examination, red cell, there was marked variation of size in red cell, and the cells were microcytic and no significant red cell fragmentation were noted. Also seen are hypersegmented neutrophils. Now these hypersegmented neutrophils, they have 5 lobes, five more than 5 lobes, 5 or more than 5 lobes. And thrombocytopenia were seen with no immature precursors. Her serum ferritin and vitamin B12 were within normal limits, but her serum folate was reduced. Autoimmune screening was unremarkable, however. Also, transglutaminase antibodies were also negative. So, this could be due to folate deficiency induced megaloblastic anemia, and it could be due to viral gastroenteritis. So, urgent bone marrow biopsy was also carried out to exclude any neoplastic procedure. The aspirate bone marrow showed hypercellular with megaloblastoid features. Early erythroid precursors. So these are the erythroid precursors with sieve-like chromatin. This early erythroid precursors with sieve-like chromatin, and this is the giant band form. Okay, this is the giant band form. It has acquired this size due to megaloblastic change. Early erythroid because giant metamyelocytes were also seen, however, and there is no leukemic population. This is a normal erythroblast, but they have megaloblastoid features. So, this severe pancytopenia was due to folate deficiency, and this may mimic other causes of bone marrow failure, such as aplastic anemia or a neoplastic disorder or non-neoplastic like granulomatous disorder replacing the bone marrow. While bone marrow investigation is also a key diagnostic tool, the risk factor for folate deficiency also include gastrointestinal illness, and it should be sought in an event of unexplained anemia or macrocytosis. So, so the management includes folic acid therapy, and after 5 days, if the if the CBC improves, if the anemia is corrected, then this is also a diagnostic tool that the patient is responding to the therapy. So, how we give this folic acid supplementation, at least 400 microgram is recommended 2 to 3 months prior to the conception and throughout the pregnancy, also the postpartum period. This has been adopted to reduce this fetal neural tube defects such as anencephaly, spina bifida, and meningomyelin. So this folate deficiency can also show low to subnormal vitamin B12 levels due to overutilization of B12 in absence of folate. Another scenario is 60-year female presented with complaint of bilateral paresthesia of lower extremities and lower limb weakness for 3 weeks. History of easy fatigability is also there with bloating, loss of appetite, heartburn for 2 to 3 months, for which she took over-the-counter medications. Her bowel habits also changed for last few months with alternating diarrhea and constipation. She also complained of numbness, which progressively ascended to the trunk, and she then developed difficulty walking, followed by numbness in the hands associated with back pain without bladder or bowel incontinence. Okay, so these peripheral nerves are affected from this history, and on physical examination, she was afebrile, pallor was positive, she had no clubbing or cyanosis or lymphadenopathy, her BP was normal, pulse rate was 94, respiratory rate 18, her abdomen examination was soft, not tender, no organomegaly. On cardiac examination, sinus tachycardia, respiratory, bilateral, on neurological examination, bilateral hips flexure weakness, thoracic sensory level deficit, reduced proprioception distally in bilateral lower extremities. So, on neurological examination, she had bilateral hip flexure weakness. So, all this neurological examination concludes that she was having a peripheral nerve deficit. Also, she was having a glossy, beefy tongue, shiny, glossy, beefy tongue from the image. On CBC, her hemoglobin was reduced, that is 11.5, hematocrit 33%, RBC count 3.9 million, TLC 4,000, platelet 1.48 lakhs, MCV was increased 112, RTW 17.2, DLC was poly 70, lympho 25, mono 3, U2. So she was having a mild anemia and platelet was marginally reduced, but on serum antibodies against intrinsic factor was positive, and also antibodies against parietal cells were also positive. Also, her serum B12, vitamin B12 was also low, and this methylmalonic acid was increased. So, as we know, this methylmalonic acid is converted to succinyl CoA in presence of B12. Okay. So, if there is deficiency of B12, this methylmalonyl CoA, it will increase and it will be converted to, it will be secreted in urine, and it will increase in blood. So, this dye product is increased. So, this is the pictorial depiction of vitamin B12 absorption. So, in the diet, vitamin B12 is associated with binding protein, and from the saliva, haptocorrin is secreted, and this vitamin B12 with binding protein in presence of pepsin, it gets dissociated, and also along with intrinsic factor which is released from this parietal cell, it travels up to duodenum where it binds. Inside the stomach, it binds with haptocorrin, and this haptocorrin vitamin B12 complex, along with intrinsic factor, travels to duodenum, where in presence of pancreatic proteases, it gets detached from this haptocorrin and gets associated with intrinsic factor. So this intrinsic factor and vitamin B12 complex goes to ileum, where there is a receptor for intrinsic factor that is called as tubulin. Now this vitamin B12 is taken into the enterocyte and gets associated with transcobalamin 2. And this transcobalamin and vitamin B12 gets inside the plasma from the cell. It goes into the plasma, and from the plasma, along with transcobalamin 2, it gets transported to liver and other hematopoietic cells and other cells of the body. So this antibodies, presence of antibodies is a diagnostic marker for pernicious anemia, which is an autoimmune disease, and in this disease there occurs three types of antibodies: type 1, type 2, and type 3. Type 1, it blocks the binding of vitamin B12 to intrinsic factor. Type 2, it blocks the binding of this complex vitamin B12 and intrinsic factor complex to tubulin. And type 3, antibodies, they act against this gastric proton form alpha and beta subunits. So in physical examination, we can find this beefy tongue, beefy glossy tongue due to atrophic glossitis. There is, if we cut open the stomach, we can find, or we can, if we take a fundus biopsy, we can see there is complete loss of parietal cells, and it is replaced by goblet cells, which are seen in intestine. So we call it as intestinal metaplasia. Now this metaplasia can progress to dysplasia and then to cancer. But this vitamin B12 therapy, it will reverse the anemia, it will correct the anemia, but it cannot change the risk for gastric carcinoma. On CNS, this demyelination occurs of dorsal and lateral spinal cord tracts, subacute combined degeneration of spinal cord, which is also associated with axons in ascending tract of posterior column and descending pyramidal tract. The diagnosis of pernicious anemia is based on moderate to severe megaloblastic anemia with hypersegmented granulocytes associated with leukopenia. On peripheral smear, there will be low serum vitamin B12 and there will be elevated homocysteine and methylmalonyl acid levels because vitamin B12 is required for conversion of homocysteine to methionine. So, in the absence of vitamin B12, this homocysteine level will increase in the body. Along with antibodies to intrinsic factors, this type 1, type 2, type 3 antibodies are highly specific for pernicious anemia. Also, the diagnosis can be confirmed by parenteral administration of vitamin B12 and assessing the hematocrit levels. If it becomes normal, if the reticulocyte count is increased after 5 days of parenteral admission, then this diagnosis is also confirmed that this is responding to the therapy. This increased homocysteine level is associated with atherosclerosis, thrombosis, and myocardial infarction. And due to intestinal metaplasia, which can progress to dysplasia and cancer, so there is increased risk of gastric cancer in autoimmune gastritis. Coming to another scenario, 56-year male presented to hospital with complaint of fever, severe gingival bleeding and dizziness for 1 day. His appetite is also decreased due to pain in mouth since 2 to 3 months. There is no past history of bleeding tendency or previous surgery or trauma. Past history of psoriasis for 20 years, for which he took medication but stopped because of adverse effects. This history is also present. He had pallor, erythema, disformation, pigmentation, and purpura on his trunk and extremities. Oral mucosa showed ulcers, gingival bleeding, atrophy of lingual papillae. Lingual pain was also reported on examination and on abdominal, CNS, CVS, respiratory systems were within normal limit. So, okay. CDC revealed severe pancytopenia. CDC revealed severe pancytopenia. Uh, his hemoglobin was 3.1, TLC 800, platelet 5000, MCV 104. That suggests macrocytic picture. MCH 38.1, MCHC 33, reticulocyte count less than 0.2%. PA shows hypersegmented neutrophils. Total bilirubin was 1.4, LDH 435 international unit, serum vitamin B12 is normal. Antibody against intrinsic factor, it was negative. Urine methyl malonyl acid is also low. Serum folate level is low. And on bone marrow examination, there was hypercellular marrow with trilineage dysplasia. The patient was managed with packed cell, packed red cells and platelet transfusion as it was markedly reduced. On day 6 of post-transfusion, smear showed increased reticulocyte count and prompt recovery of pancytopenia. He was also infused with folate, and after that, his stomatitis and glossitis also improved. On repeat bone marrow examination on day 22nd, it revealed hypercellular marrow and the dysplastic changes also reduced. So all this, so his symptoms responded to this therapy, folic acid therapy, and this could be due to, as he was suffering from psoriasis, so this could be due to methotrexate. So methotrexate is also used in treatment of psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, in acute leukoblastic leukemia, which is an inhibitor of folate metabolism. It inhibits this dihydrofolate reductase and also thymidylate synthase. Folic acid acts through tetrahydrofolic acid. So if this enzyme is inhibited, it will not get converted to tetrahydrofolic acid, and which is required for DNA synthesis or purine synthesis. One student has asked, what is, can please explain acute exacerbation? He complained of some lung symptoms. So coming to instruments in HEMAT. So this instrument is RBC pipette. It is identified by red color bead, red color mouthpiece, and markings 0.5, 1, 101. So what is the use? So it is used for RBC count, WBC count in leukemia, and platelet count. This instrument is WBC pipette. It is identified by white mouthpiece, white bead, and markings 0.5, 1, and 11. Uses of WBC pipettes are WBC count, cell count in CSF, pleural fluid, ascitic fluid, synovial fluid, sperm count. absolute eosinophil count, and RBC count when there is severe anemia. What is the difference between RBC and WBC pipette? The color of the bead, also the mouthpiece, the bulb size, which is larger in RBC, the calibration in both pipettes, so this instrument is Vintrope's Westergreen pipette. This instrument is Westergreen pipette, which is 30 centimeter long with internal bore diameter of 2.5 mm, which is calibrated from 0 to 200. It has capacity of 1 ml. A rack is used with levers to make the pipette stand vertical. The reagents used are, that is the anticoagulant sodium citrate in a ratio of 1:9, and it is used for estimation of ESR. Other uses can be packed cell volume or hematocrit level. This instrument is Vintrope's tube. This pipette has two open ends, but tube has one open end. The uses are estimation of ESR and PCV, also to make buffy coat in cases of leukopenia, subleukemia, and for leishmaniasis to look for LD bodies. Anticoagulant used here is EDTA in a ratio of 1:4. This instrument is Dahli's bone marrow aspiration needle. It has three parts. This the needle, this is stellate, this is the guard. The site of the ideal sites for bone marrow aspiration are posterior and anterior superior iliac spine, spinous processes of lumbar vertebrae, sternum in adult, and also tibia. Indications of bone marrow aspiration are RBC disorders like megaloblastic anemia, WBC disorders like acute leukemia, subleukemia, myeloproliferative or myelodysplastic disorders, infections like Kala-Azar, for iron storage stores like in case of hemochromatosis, and in case of metastatic neoplasms. Also in storage disorders. This instrument is Jamshedi's needle. This is used for bone marrow biopsy. The indications for bone marrow biopsy is when there is a dry tap, like in case of peripheral leukemia, in case of primary myelofibrosis, also in case of aplastic anemia, hypoplastic anemia, in metastatic disorders, in chronic renal failure, in bone disorders like osteoporosis and osteopetrosis, In case of pyroxia of unknown origin, for example, TB, leishmaniasis, also the indications for bone marrow aspirations are also included in bone marrow biopsy. Thank you. If you have any doubt,